Yo, this your boy Tonyo coming through another episode of Backyard Comedy. I got my boy Skeezy, baby. Please say the baby.
You already know that.
That really dooley I got down here beside me.
Right beside you,
and I'm your boy Vocals 26. Y'all know if y'all see this, man, y'all know what's going on. It's the Backyard Inspiration.
Yeah.
And we coming through here. Let's do a recap of last episode. If y'all haven't seen, we did a live. We talked about the girl that left her kids in the car. Yeah, Tatiana
Williams.
Yeah, she left her kids in the car trying to go to the casino. Unfortunately, they passed away of hypothermia in Detroit. Social media was saying, the father should get locked up, man. Go make sure y'all go check that out. Y'all already know we streaming on 172 countries out here on Real Demand TV. Also brought to you by Mr. Julius Rowe, Forward Motion. Anybody dealing with any type of substance abuse, just holler at my man, Mr. Julius Rowe. He'll get you moving in the right direction. But we gonna kick this off with the Backyard Inspiration. How you doing, Pop?
Hey, doing all right. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good to have you here. You wanna go ahead and start off with this with the episode that we doing today?
Today we got my pops, Dr. Onyx Martinsr.
Oh yeah,
talk with us today. And we're going to speak on anxiety and how to deal with anxiety. Through these day and age, man, we got a lot going on. And, it's good for us to touch on this topic and just try to relay a message and hopefully provide some insight and some pointers on what you guys can do in your everyday lives, man. So,
yeah. And upon, my brother said I didn't do it, but upon, you said I got it right here. Upon looking at some things that I didn't know that having a healthy diet could help with anxiety. I didn't know that. I done ate all kind of things. I know you done dealt with a lot of things in life, Pop, and coached a lot of people. What are your thoughts about anxiety?
Well, my first thought is if we're going to deal with it, let's define it. What is anxiety? Because a lot of people may get mixed construed with something else that's close proximity to it. So let's deal with a definition.
Can I say it? Can I do a definition?
Just do it.
Pick me.
You're the one. Go, Tony.
Intense, excessive, or persistent worry or fear about everyday situations.
Yeah, intense.
Yeah,
intense or excessive. Those are the key words: intense and excessive. Anything that we do excessively, or anything that's so intense that it distracts us or take our mind from the norm, then it's going to be detrimental. It's going to be harm, and that's what anxiety does. Again, we're dealing with a lot of it, and I think when we spoke and we were coming up with this topic, we say we're dealing with a post-pandemic society, and dealing with post anything can be traumatic. They call it PTSD, post-stress disorder, and so post-traumatic stress disorder. And so when we deal with it from that angle, anything like that can cause your day to be disrupted and cause you to worry too much about it, cause you to exert your energy, cause you to overindulge. It can cause substance abuse. It can cause physical abuse, verbal abuse. It can cause all kinds of mental lapses and mental interferences and things of that nature. So what we got to do is understand that we weren't created to live a life filled with anxiety. And so what we need to understand is how to deal with it. And I think one of the best ways to understand how to deal with it is get some more examples of it. What some things that people may be anxious over, where they may get anxiety. What are some of the ordeals that one may go through and have these occurrences.
Yeah.
So,
go ahead, and really, the definition was great because it mentioned fear, and I think fear is one of the key things that brings on the stress that causes anxiety. And a lot of times we fear stuff and we overly fear things, and it causes us to have to deal with things way worse on a worse level once we get that anxiety and we can't stop thinking about it.
I agree.
Then we make decisions based on our anxiousness.
Yeah, I agree.
And you should never do that.
I have made decisions based off of anxiousness. But I'm glad you're on, Pops, because not talking about your anxieties can lead to depression.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And I was raised by we talk about this all the time. I was raised by them hard men where they didn't show feelings. They didn't show that it was okay to if you having an anxiety attack. And we have met people that we try to bring on the show, and they'll say that they'll be like, well, I got anxiety, I can't come up there.
Yeah,
what I mean? And we make a joke out of it, but it's a real thing. Like you can catch anxiety from doing a public speaking or things of that nature that'll get your juices flowing.
Yeah.
And
if you would further read into the definition, it said that type of anxiety is good. When you're, like public speaking or any kind of presentation, we were created to have anxiety there. And that is what gets the adrenaline flowing, which causes the brain to operate and causes us to remember and regurgitate or to release information better. But when it is maximized and intense and it's taken to the next level, we raise it to an exponential value. That's when, again, it becomes something that's not good and something that's detrimental, and it becomes an infraction in our lives. And so we have to understand that. Dooley, what do you think about it? You sitting over there quiet. We need to hear from you.
You ready?
I had dealt with anxiety myself with coming on the show when I first started. You know what I'm saying? That was a fear that I had because I didn't like my voice for one. I'm not very photogenic. I ain't like being on camera.
Child, you broke my camera.
But over time, like I had to learn. Over time, it gradually goes away. That fear goes away because you have to approach it and just slap it out the way. You know what I'm saying? In so many ways, you got to really face the fears, but don't let them face you. Whenever you have the opportunity to do what you're afraid to do, you have to step up and do it, or you'll always be anxious. Always.
And it also play a factor in anxiety and going through those walks, man. It's having the right people around you. Having a good team, having a good source to let your anger out or let your anxiety, have somebody to talk to that's not only going to tell you something real and be understanding, but also not be judgmental towards it. If that get what I'm saying, because you can talk to some people and all you're doing is educating the devil. You know what I'm saying? You they're not really for you, and you just pouring it out thinking you're getting something good. You know what I mean? And you're not. So just be careful who you talk to about your problems.
What Dooley said was key as far as facing your fears. You got to hit it head on. See, also anxiety can be something that's what they say is hereditary. What we know it as though is a generational curse. And so I get to these things and I say these things because it's true and we don't look at them in that way, and we have to learn how to break the curse in order to heal our offspring.
Preach, many preacher.
From these things, because we're bringing anxiety. We're thinking it's just for us, and we can be spreading it down to our kids as well.
And by not dealing with, I've been through that. I've been through that. I went through a situation where I felt like I couldn't speak up because how I was going to be perceived. You know what I mean? But come to find out, as I got older, it had happened to my dad and so forth and so on. Instead, stepping out and taking over that fear. It's not about how people gonna look at you. Sometimes you got to get that burden up off of you. We carry stuff around not realizing that we toting it because it don't feel heavy no more. But in all nationality, it really is downing us down.
Yeah, and we got to understand everything that we are involved with and everything that we come in contact with or exposed to makes an impression in our lives, and it impresses our lives either positively or negatively. And so, we're dealing with what we call hereditary things or generational curses. A lot of that has to do with social upbringings and what we're taught in families, or things that have become deep rooted and deep set or deep set in families. Also, there's an area too, and we'll be dealing with this probably in the Rocky Mount area coming up in June. We're going to be dealing with spiritual warfare. I'm going to do a class on spiritual warfare, an all-day class. And one thing you have to realize that there are territorial demons. The Bible speaks of them as powers and principalities. One of them deals with the religious aspect of it, while the other one deals with the governmental aspect. And those are the two entities that kind of controls society in every every arena, whether it's in a democratic society or whether it's in one that is a communist society. They're still controlled by those entities one way or another. So when we look at it, then you have to deal with it from the aspect of its roots.
Yeah.
If you don't get to the root of the problem, you'll never be able to resolve the issue. Just like a plant has roots, but the root comes into a stem, and the stem has the limbs and the leaves and all of that kind of stuff. Well, each one of those would be some form of attack or something that may bring on, here we go, that word again, fear. Back in the day when I was coming up and been there, wow, we used to say fear is false education accepted as right, or accepted as reality.
Everything. You got something for everything.
Accepted as reality. So the thing is, you got to get yourself out of the false information, the false teaching, the false understanding, the false education. I was saying this morning while we were in service, I said, and this is something I've said when I was teaching seminary. One thing I said that one thing every individual has to do in order to learn is that we have to go through the process of unlearning. Before I can embark upon new ideas, I have to get rid of the old ideas that will interfere with it or hinder it and not help it. And so I have to go through a process of purging. And as I go through that process of purging, I keep what's necessary, and what's not necessary, I eliminate. You said, well, friends can help you do that. Yes, friends can help you do that. Studying and educating yourself can do that. Having outlets can do that. You said one thing, you got to have friends where you can get angry around and talk to. Well, another thing you need to do is that you talked about diet. You need to have a good diet. Another thing you need to do is make sure that not only do you have a good diet, but also that you exercise, walking or running or participating in some sports and something that will allow your body to release the dopamines and all of those things that hinder you from going forward.
And they say that too.
And so you got to do that. And when you do that, that puts you in a position to deal with anxiety. See, the thing about this, anxiety has its place. You should be anxious in some areas and not in others. In other words, there's a degree of anxiety that's healthy. But the book that I read says, be anxious for nothing. And it says, through prayer and supplication, make your requests known through God. It says, through fear and trembling, make your requests known unto God. And says, and then it talks about God will be able to strengthen you in every area. The thing about that is that when we are dealing with situations, we gotta have a place where we can go to and deal with it. We have to deal with the internal aspects of it. We have to deal with the external aspect of it. And a lot of times before we can ever get to the external component, we've got to deal with what's going on in the inside of us. And there is some stuff that we've hidden as men, as people, as women in that case, that stuff that we've hidden, we've covered it up, we've buried it because it was a taboo in our society to deal with it, or a taboo to our gender to deal with it. And so we buried it and thought that it would go away because we covered it up. The truth of the matter is, all it does is sit there and festers and connects with something else like a plant does, and becomes something that's not healthy, and something that destroys instead of helps us to grow and to become better. So first thing we got to do is get over the fear, get rid of the fear. I was dealing with a guy years ago, and this has been a long time ago. His mom called me and said, my son is demonic possessed. I need you to, cast the demons out, cast them out, cast them. I'm like, what is going on? I went to school with the guy. I'm like, what is going on? This guy ain't got no demons, I said, well, send him over my house. That day, was a time when I had the whole house to myself during the day. And so I told him, come on over and we'll talk about it, and I said, this fool go crazy in here, and it'll be me and him, But nevertheless, but we went in and he started talking, and what was happening, the house was prayed up and I was prayed up, and I believed what I believed, and he came in and there was so much peace in the house. And I said, man, what's going on? He said, man, I don't know. And he had depression. He was manic depressant. And so his anxiety would send him into these depressions. He would have the highs and the lows and all of that. And so we talked briefly about it, and after a while, he said, man, I said, how long you been up? He said, man, I ain't slept in 72 hours. I'm like, 3 days this guy hadn't slept, and he's, you're all wild. It's like you're on crack, and so you're wild and all that. So it was so peaceful in my house. He sat in the chair and went to sleep. I let him sleep for about 4 or 5 hours. Didn't touch. I mean, he's sleeping, didn't wake up, blinking. He woke up and he looked at me, and man, he said, what happened, man? That's nothing, man. You just was resting. He said, man, I feel so much better. I said, oh, okay. He said, man, let me tell you something. What you got to do, man, is face your fears and overcome them. And that thing stuck with me. You have to face them and overcome them, which is a cliche and it's not easily done. And, it's easily said than done.
Yeah.
And so, but what he had a chance to do was rest. But he had a chance to rest in a peaceful area. He had a chance to rest in an area
That means a lot,
where
too.
he didn't feel vulnerable. He didn't feel like it would be attacked. And sometimes you just need to get some rest and get the book says you need to go in a secret closet. You need to go have a private space where you can have, and now they've cloned the term some me time. And I don't know if that is a selfish ideal or not. I know it's a necessary ideal. And so we have to do that where you can have some time to recuperate, rejuvenate, and refresh yourself. So those things are necessary. I talk about the Bible a lot because I got into the Word of God to learn from it, to help me have a better quality of life. I didn't get into the book to be religious. Contrary to what a lot of people think about the Bible, they think it is a religious book. I bear a different aspect on that. I dare to differ with you on that simply because it is a book of life. It has the principles that will help you. I don't care who you are. You can be an atheist and read the book and work the principles. They'll work for you. And so it has the principles that will enhance your life. And that's the reason why I highly recommend it. And I've read a whole lot of books, a whole lot of self-helps. I've read a whole lot of books by several different authors and from several different walks of life and all of this. I've read more books than most people ever read in a lifetime, probably more the whole family would read. But nevertheless, in those you find that there are key things that they have that are congruent. And there's those key things. You'll find the source of the resource in the Bible. They have these points, the origin of it. It has where this has been used and proven in the Bible. And then you go pay all this money to go to somewhere when if you could take time and go through this book, it will help you with it and have people who understand the book. And we're talking about being religious, jumping around, hollering, screaming, and yodobo, some of you becoming a Cadillac. Like in the snow and all that kind of stuff. That's not, it's got to be a different approach than that. And I'm not saying that's not necessary, but what I am saying is that's not the sum total of why God released the book. Because the book wasn't written, it was penned by men, but it was not authored by men. And so you have to understand that. You got.
And I was just gonna say you right there because I mean we go throughout life and we try other things such as caffeine and drugs. For anxiety, they got all types of medication right now for that. People got, like you said, caffeine to stay up so they don't have to face their fears and things like that. All of that stuff, Xanax and all that. And so try something that you don't need all of that. Try something. Try the Bible. Try the principles. If you feel like that you got that. Count on something else, then you're not using the natural gifts that God has given you to overcome the things that you need to overcome.
And just to piggyback off of Pop, when he said finding the root cause of it, you got to start with actually admitting you have a problem. You know what I mean? Because we go through life like I do. I go through life thinking I'm just this strong black man. I take it all. I can get hit. I can get run over by a truck. I'm gonna pick the truck up. I just carry myself like that because that's how I was raised to carry myself. And sometimes we do get weak kneed.
But that brings you to another point that everything that we was raised and taught to believe is not right. You have to find out the information on your own. Everything is we was and that's how Dad was speaking about it's the anxiety and things coming up through the generations because of the way we were taught we was taught that through the generations and family. We gotta find the knowledge, like Pop said, on our own. We have to read for ourselves and find knowledge and know what we're talking about and know what was right and know what was wrong.
And I'm glad
some of the stuff was brought up for personal vendettas.
And I'm glad you brought that up because now that I'm older and I talk to the men now, it tore them up. It ate them up. And I didn't even know it. But it ate them up.
Yeah. And see, you got to understand too, what we were taught may have been right for that era, for the era that they were living in, which it may not necessarily be right now, because the times have changed, conditions have changed, the availability of resources have changed. And so the thing is that we have to take full advantage of what's being offered if that's going to help us be better. Anything that's going to hinder our progress, we know that wasn't meant for us to engage in or to participate with or partake with, whatever it may be, and we think of substances and stuff like that, but it can be careers. There are people who are addicted to careers.
I know some.
They're addicted to work. They call them workaholics and stuff like that. And so when those things happen, everything, the earth, and when God created the heavens and the earth, he did it in 6 days. And the seventh day he rested for a reason. He set an example. God doesn't need rest. God is a spirit. Spirits don't rest. So he didn't need rest. What he was doing was setting an example for humankind. No matter what we do, if we do anything 6 days, one of those days out of the 7 days that's in a week, we should take a rest and do nothing but meditate, restore ourselves, build ourselves back up, do something that's going to give us positive attitudes, positive outlooks, and make sure we're around positive people in a positive environment so we can get replenished and refreshed.
I ain't going to work tomorrow. Just so you know, mental health day.
Mental health day. Well, they put that in there for a reason,
Yeah, they
though.
do. They do.
And it's really, that's what God has said from the beginning. He says, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Well, he was talking about keeping it rest. Why? So we can get our mental health. Because man, because of what it happened, man had to go in the garden and work 6 days. Well, that 7th day, God says, listen, I'm going to let you rest and be before me. And God says, this is your time and my time. So you got to have an opportunity to deal with what's going on in your life other than just trying to work to resolve it.
Yeah.
Because I said something to our people today in church, and I'm saying, I think the goal is to stop working for money and have money work for you. When is the last time your money says, hey, I need you. I need you to, I need you to help me, figure out what you're going to do with me. Yeah. Because you got so much of it, or you have so many resources.
Hey, call it on me.
Yeah. But see, the thing is, you got to get to the point where your money is a resource that earns money. When we're working that we got to always make money, and we're working to always make ends meet, then maybe we're on the wrong side of the spectrum. Yeah. And everybody has enough intellect, enough wherewithal to be self-sufficient, to be independent, to be whatever they desire to be. Even if they're working for somebody else, you can make smart investments and still have way more than your paycheck every year. Yeah. I know people who've worked and their whole paycheck just go straight to the bank, never use it, never have to even touch it, because that's just, they have those type of resources. They make those type of smart moves. And that's the way you get, So anxiety, let me say this about anxiety. Anxiety is a destroyer that will, not only will it ruin your life, but it will so scar and mar your life that you may not be able to recoup from it if you do not deal with it in time. And anxiety will eat you up from the inside out.
Yeah,
and the reason why you see the expressions outside from people who are anxious and they're giddy and they're jittery and nervous and all of that is because something is eating them up on the inside. Just like he said, hey, it's fear. Fear was his thing. Well, listen, we all have fear. The fear is there, and I've been doing what I've been doing as far as preaching and the word and all that since '88. But every time I stand up, there's a degree of fear. But just as you did with coming on this program, I had to overcome that, and I still have to overcome that every time I stand. But see, now I've learned how to use that fear as a comfort, because what it does, it allows me to always be the best me when I'm doing what I do. I don't take it for granted that I can do this with perfection. So fear has me to make sure that I prepared myself to do what I've got to do. And I don't just stand up and haphazardly go through something.
Hitman said
just stumble on it. That's right.
Poppy got some good words for you. So, I want to say for people out there that may not realize, like we were saying, Onyx was saying, being raised a certain way and you get older and find out it can be something different. My grandparents, they raised us to think, depression is of the devil. So you know it was you couldn't really feel nothing. You know what I mean? What are some ways that you can help people? I mean, that you can tell people how to help themselves, as far as realizing that they actually have anxiety. That makes sense. What I'm saying?
That makes a lot of sense. And just as we read the definition, it says overindulgence, impulsive, excessive, and it talks about those things that anything that goes too far, and you feel real nervous and jittery about it, or you feel not rooted, discombobulated. You feel not screwed in, not attached. You feel way out and not at peace. And that's the other part of that scripture. And it says that God will give you the peace that surpasses all understanding. That word for peace is irene. That word means you'll get the presence of God, and that presence of God will bring on, it says, the prosperity of God. Whenever we hear the term prosperity, we always think of it in monetary values, but prosperity goes beyond that. Prosperity is having a well-rounded self-existence, a well-rounded quality of life. Prosperity is being able to sleep at night, not worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow, because tomorrow can take care of itself with Father's help. So it talks about the prosperity of God. That's when you're at peace with Him. When you make peace with God in here, it will cause peace to settle around you out there. And so you have to have that. And you can't walk around afraid. So that's the thing you get. And that prosperity, listen, prosperity comes from all different angles. It's not just stuff. I mean, all of us like nice stuff. I hope you do. If you don't, hey, that's fine. I'm okay with that. I like nice stuff, but you can't like nice stuff so much that you do it in excess. Because now that shows a type of anxiety, a type of anxiousness, a type of fear that's in you. Maybe a poverty mentality, We're going to talk about that depression one too on one of these shows. But we're dealing with anxiety today. So one of the ways you will realize you got it is you're doing it excessively, overindulging. You're doing it compulsively, and all that kind of stuff. And irregards of boundaries and red flags that you may notice. And you still participate in this, or you're still even though maybe it's something that will help you, something that's going to enhance you, but you're afraid to step out on it. Well, that anxiety has you there because now your fear is of failure. Your fear is of what others will say. Your fear is of, like he was talking about, appearances and perceptions. Well, you got to know that God created you and you're skillfully and wonderfully made. Yeah. And if God accepts you and nobody else doesn't, you got the main one on your side. So that's the thing you have to learn and you have to do. Hey, if He loves me, it's a ham sandwich with the rest of them. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you brought up the poverty situation, because I make jokes of it now, but we grew up in poverty. And it always stayed in my mind, like, I'm not growing up with no roaches. I'm not growing up with this kind of stuff that we had, because when I was younger, I didn't realize it was that bad, until I got older. Like, now I don't.
So it's all a mindset. You know what I'm saying? It's all a mindset, because when we was in poverty, we didn't know we was in poverty. Did. I was playing with. We thought we was good, So that's the key thing, man. Is your mindset. So, a lot of people, you can't allow yourself to stay up at night worrying and wondering about what's next and am I failing and about not reaching your goals. You just have to make sure that you have the right mindset to put forth the effort and the steps to reach your goal.
Some of you ain't stepped at all. And wonder why you can't do the same thing and expect different results.
Yeah,
right.
Now that's one thing that man down there in that table, the big boy. That's one thing he say. You can't do the same thing and expect a different outcome. You gotta change it up. Yeah, he tell me that all the time. You know how many times I've heard it? A million. But when I started doing different things, I started seeing a different result. You know what I mean? I started going a different way. I want to put that out there.
And it's positive. How did you overcome, other than just the influence?
You had to, for one thing, what I did.
Well, sit up.
Yeah, I had to sit up, right. One thing that I did notice is, like, you are anxious and you're fearful. I feel like you're not having your minds on the right thing. Your mind is somewhere in thoughts that don't even really matter. Because one thing that I learned is your mind shapes your whole reality. Like if you always thinking negative, then you're gonna always think everything is negative. You know, that's how I look at things.
Yeah.
So that's why I always try to have a positive mindset. Positive mindset helped me deal with anything because I know God always has my back. You know what I'm saying? So he ain't got nothing bad for me, so why be fearful? So that's what kind of helped me along the way.
Yeah.
I love that, man, because you got to have a positive mindset, and that's in everything you approach. You know, again, we go to stuff, and this is, you guys need to watch the sermon today. What I talked about, we were dealing with this 7 spirits of God, but today I really dealt with the mindsets and all of that. But you got to have a positive mindset. Some people see the glass half full, some see it half empty. You know, it's an old adage on the way you see the glass denotes how you approach the situation. And so you listen. Well, somebody say I was born an optimist, so I always see the glass half full. Well, by nature I am an optimist, and that's the way I was born. But I do know that if you were not born that way, you can train yourself to see it that way. And Dooley he just attested to that. So you have to override the negative with a positive. Always override the negative with a positive. Always override the negative with a positive. Because what you see is really not what's the important aspect of it if it's negative. You know, and that's what he said. He said, you know, he was focusing on the things that were not important. He didn't keep the main thing the main thing.
And I have been a part of the everyday life of doing negativity, and it just felt so right, but it felt so wrong. That makes sense. It was so much fun being in all the commotion that I didn't realize how peaceful it was on the outside of that gate.
Yeah, but you were just seeking attention.
Yeah, you know, sometimes it be that way. Sometimes it be that way, and sometimes I was with the wrong people. Yeah, you know, that I should have got away from. Yeah,
you was fitting in. It made you a part of the. We're social, you know, by nature we're social creatures. So it allowed you to fit in, even if you were fitting into something that was wrong. But your conscience, the real you, that had your purpose and had your God-given, listen to this, had your God-given identity in it, said, this is not you. This is not what you should be doing. This is not what's going to make you feel good. I don't care how good you become at it. You can become good at doing wrong. But that doesn't mean you feel good about it. You know, you do it because, hey, I'm accepted. This is what I get, you know, the praise about. This is what I get accolades for. And so when you're dealing with anxiety, you want to make sure that you don't get caught out there doing this wrong stuff because it brings you notoriety. Or it brings you some kind of influence.
I got caught, Pop. I got caught.
Yeah, well.
I got caught being out there now.
Yeah, but getting caught is one aspect of it. But another aspect of it is when the stuff you don't get caught in. You know what I'm saying? True. You get away with more than you get caught for. And so that's the thing you have to think about. So dealing with this anxiety issue, you can't be impulsive. You know, the Bible says if a man is going to build a house, he's got to first count up the cost. I can't impulsively go and indulge in some kind of business deal. I can't impulsively go and indulge in some kind of purchase. I can't impulsively go and start a relationship with someone and I have not done my homework. You know, they haven't been vetted. I haven't talked to somebody else that talks to them. You know, I didn't go and see about the car. I didn't do my homework. I didn't see what was being said about it. I didn't look at this particular model, you know, or this house. I didn't talk about the contractors. I didn't deal with them. I didn't get resumes from them. And then not just getting it on writing, I need to call these people and talk to them and hear what they're saying. I need to hear real people say real stuff about this real issue. And so,
real talk.
You know, and so that's the thing that we have to learn how to do. That's when the book says, be anxious for nothing. That means don't readily or hurriedly go and do anything without first taking into account what it's going to require of you, what is necessary to complete the task, and how you're going to carry it out. You know, you got to think about that. And you know, hey, if you do not, then you're setting yourself up to cause more anxiety, which is going to compound issues. What people don't understand, if I'm already anxious about an issue and then something else comes in that makes me more anxious, where it doesn't just double the effects of it. No, it compounds it. It takes it to another exponential value. So it is, yeah, it is. It is anxiety times anxiety, you know, raised to a higher power, man. So that could be something that can really cause you to go into depression, cause suicidal tendencies, make you feel like you don't belong, or I'm different, there's something wrong with me, and all of these kind of things that your mind feeds you because you don't have that fit, or you don't, look like others, or act like others, or sound like others. I mean, you're not others, so why should you? So you can't have those things multiplied by those situations and by that indulging or by that participation that you're in.
Yeah, and I just want to take the time to say this right now. For all you young guys out there, I know you look at us, we laugh, have a good time. For our generation, we done been through a lot of things. It was fun out there dibbling and dancing with the devil. It was hilarious, but he has no power. He has no nothing for you. You don't got to be put in these situations, because lately, especially here in Durham, I've been seeing a lot of shootouts, and these guys are young. They 15, 14, 16, they are extremely young, and you do not have to put yourself in that situation. I thought I had to be in that crowd one point in time. I thought I had to do certain things one point in time. And sometimes you do got to get down where you lay down. Sometimes you have to do certain things. Sometimes, but if you don't have to be there, don't be. Just try Jesus. It's a different kind of peace. It's a different kind of lifestyle. Trust me, because I had to do it myself. I thought it was fun out there. I would call Onyx crying at night trying to figure something out. Call Dooley crying at night trying to figure something out, because I didn't know where I was going myself. You know what I mean? I was just going. That's when I put that out there, Pop.
Hey, I appreciate you sharing that, man, because somebody needs that help, and you got to understand that there are brothers like us, people like us who'll be more than willing to help you. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask for help. When you talk about something as serious as anxiety and overindulging, you didn't get to where you are overnight. And it didn't happen to you, when you were at home being birthed, because you weren't worried about a thing. You depended on mom or grandmom or whoever raised you. So those things weren't there. They were behaviors that came later on in life as you began to have to deal with the reality of society, deal with the real world. Yeah. And so those things came in. So know that there are help. There are help places out there. There are people who will help you. There's help there, and don't be afraid to reach out to it.
Email us.
Here. Yeah, email. Backyard Inspiration or Backyard Comedy, and we will respond. We're not going to just be here, talking about this and throwing it out there, and not putting, our feet to the ground, and not, going where the rubber meets the road, and really, as they say, getting your hands dirty. If we're not willing to get our hands dirty, then we're not willing to be a part of of the eradication of this behavior. And so we got to make sure that we're involved with it, and we do what we need to do in our sphere of influence.
Because them Xanaxes, them pill popping, it ain't the thing, man. It ain't saving you. It's only masking the pain. It's only masking whatever you got going on. You got to deal with it head on. You got to face it. You got to face your fears and overcome them.
If you deal with it that bad and it's obsessively, you need to go to therapy. Really seek therapy, help. Because some things are deeply rooted that you probably in your psyche, kind of forgot. So you might need somebody to break that open.
And let me piggyback off you, dude, because I know some of y'all thinking, this me right here. I know some of y'all thinking, I want to talk to nobody. I used to feel that same way. I used to feel like I didn't want to go through marital counseling. I used to feel like I didn't want to go to talk to nobody about my problem. And it made a very big difference going to talk to somebody who I didn't know that couldn't judge me anything. It was no bias and it was
that's
nothing.
fresh eyes, right?
It make a big difference.
Find you a neutral source, but find you a neutral source that believes in the Lord, because you don't want to find just some neutral source that's going to take you farther down the rabbit hole. You need somebody that's going to give you something solid, something that's proven, something that has gone on for centuries and centuries and millennials and still works. So you want to have something that's been a proven source of strength and a proven source of deliverance and a proven source of aid in every area. And so that you got to have. And like you say, you got to admit it. You got to want to make a difference. And you started off with this, and you said you can not get help if you don't first admit that there is a problem.
Yeah.
You
First
have
step.
to. You got to face reality. You got to face the music, as we talk about. Face your fears and overcome them. So you got to do that and stop depending on others to undergird you without you doing what you can do to make you better. You know, don't throw yourself. Yeah, don't throw yourself at somebody else and think they're going to fish you out of that. A lot of people who do not have the luxury of somebody in their life to help them out. They don't have the luxury of going here and going there. So they got to deal with what they deal with where they are.
Yeah.
But if they want to get out of it bad enough, I'm a firm believer that God will put resources in your environment. You can be living in a tent out on Skid Row. It doesn't matter. He'll put somebody there. He'll put resources there so you can get out of it. Now, if it's going to be a cakewalk, no. Because it wasn't a cakewalk for you to get to where you are. So it may not necessarily be a cakewalk to get out.
Grandma said.
But it's worth it.
Nobody told me.
Nobody at all. And the road would be easy, right?
It won't.
But he brought me too far.
Believe me, sure did. I believe that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, so that's the real talk on this thing. And we're dealing with serious stuff here. That's what this program is all about, dealing with serious issue. I've been around, a few decades, quite a few of them, and been through some very traumatic issues and had to deal with some real stuff, and still deal with real stuff.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you got to know how to admit that you can't conquer all. You're not a superhero. You can't say, one of my favorite lines, I can handle it. I can handle it. And in my mind I could. In reality,
I didn't.
it was handling me.
I didn't.
Until I admitted that, and somewhere you may have a meltdown before you come to the realization that what you think you can do, you can't do.
And you need some help.
You need some help.
I done bit my pillow plenty nights yelling. My kids couldn't even hear it. I'm in that sobbing. Get it out of me. Get it out of me.
Yeah, so get help. I like what he said about therapy. And therapy is a controlled environment. I like what you said about neutrality. Yeah, it's got to be someone you trust that's not going to take your pearls and use them to their advantage. And so you got to make sure that who you're talking to, it doesn't have any reason to betray you. That can't use what is your weakness to overpower you. It's got to be somebody who's going to speak the truth to you. And listen, they need to do it in love, not as a profession. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. They need to do it in love and not a profession. If they're just doing it for the dollars, okay, as soon as your dollars run out, so will your help. But it's got to be somebody who's going to do it in love, who's going to do it because they want to see a better you. They want to see you be the best you that you can possibly be. And they do it because they love you, because you're one of his, no matter what happens.
Anxiety, make sure you get the help you need. Talk to somebody, like Pop said, man, you got to get it. You got to get it. This world is getting worse and worse and worse by the day, because I don't think it's people taking the steps they need to get the help that they need, and they're just quote unquote crashing out. So that's what they calling it. They're not calling it anxiety or depression no more. They call it crashing out. Well, they already done reacted and now they got prison time, or somebody done lost their life. Like we just unfortunately read about another story yesterday.
Well, my thing is that, you spoke of this region that is happening, but it's happening all over.
Yeah.
So it's not, and even I live in a rural area, and we're still having the same challenges. As a matter of fact, somebody asked me about the little town I live in, and I won't speak it. But anyway, I'll say, a guy asked me, said, man, all that stuff still going on over there? He says, I work with a police department in a neighboring county, and man, they would always put out warnings and bulletins, be on the lookout for stuff coming out of that little area you're in, man. I said, yeah, man, they still crazy over there, man.
They just better watch the right house, though.
Yeah.
And for me and my house, we will.
But and so it's everywhere. So the thing is this: you can't run away from it. And of course, by all means, you don't want to run to it. But what you got to do is learn how to live above it. One of our sayings and slogans that we cloned for High Level Ministries is we soar above the devil and live on a higher level. So that's the thing. The book says he's under our feet, but that doesn't mean that's automatic. You got to learn how to do it. You know, you got to learn how to not allow him to get the upper hand on you. You know, the book says give no place to the devil. So I can't give him anything to work with. I can't give him anything to use. If I got a fear of this thing, well, listen, don't let nobody tell you you're going to overcome that fear instantaneously. You know, like you're saying stuff, it's from the devil. It's from the devil. Well, yeah, it is from the devil. But I didn't just get it from the devil in an instant. It gradually worked its way into my schedule,
Like
into my life, and eventually took a life of his own. In my world. And so what I had to do was figure out how to get it out, like I allowed it to come in. So it's a process, and I've got to be willing to have some sweat equity as I navigate the process.
Message.
I've got to be willing to do it, and I've got to be willing to put my pride aside. I got to be willing to put everything aside that makes me think I'm some superhero, and become the real me, and understand I cannot conquer all. But that I can conquer, I will conquer. But that I can't, then He will give me the strength to do. Because that I do it, I can only do it through Him who strengthens me.
And we gonna leave it right there on that note right there. He took that thing out of there again. Cause that's what pops do. We want to appreciate y'all for tuning in with us for this backyard inspiration. As always, I got my boy Skeezy baby. Please say the baby.
Yeah, y'all already know.
That really do. I got beside me.
Right here beside you.
I got Pops right here, Dr. Onyx Martin Sr.
Hey, glad to be here.
Oh yeah, y'all already know. We're brought to you by Real Demand TV, streaming in 172 countries. Make sure y'all download the app. We also on everything you can stream: podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, everything. Make sure y'all get it downloaded. Also brought to you by Mr. Julius Rowe. Forward Motion. We're here to help you get moving in the right direction. Anybody dealing with substance abuse, make sure you hit him up. Last but not least, make sure y'all email us at backyardcomedy3@gmail.com. We would love to hear what you think about this episode. Any questions you have for Pops, anything y'all want to say, any stories you want to talk about, anything, make sure y'all hit us up. And y'all already know, listen to this. Time is a precious thing to waste, so don't waste it by not watching Backyard Comedy. We appreciate you, and we love you.
See ya.